Okay, so we've got our tire off and now we're going to go take our drum off. So first you need to back off the brakes, and for that you're going to put your paw under that little bolt there and pull it out, or you can use a flathead screwdriver, whatever you have, and then you're just going to back off the little bolt on your slack adjuster here until it stops, and then you're all good to take your drum off.
Alright, so now since we have the slack adjuster backed off, we can take our drum off. Alright, so since we have the drum off, next off come the shoes and the hardware springs. We'll work with a pry bar and a hammer.
Okay, so now we got our shoes off, we can take a look at our brake spider here, which has our anchor bolts here, which we want to make sure are nice and lubed so they go in easy. We want to take a look at our speed sensor, make sure there's a nice little gap in between. We want to check out our S-cam here, make sure our bushings are good, that it doesn't wiggle, that doesn't pull out too much. And we just changed those, so those are good.
Alright, so now that you got your pads and your drum off, you want to make sure you're not rust jacking at all in between the friction surface and the steel plate. You want to make sure you don't have any heat checking and that you have more than a 1/4 inch friction material, DVT spec. Make sure your S-cam pins are not oblonged or ovaled out, along with your anchor pins. There's no cracks, gouges in your brake drum.
Alright, another point of inspection is your wheel seal on the back here by your speed sensor. You want to make sure that's good and it's not leaking. If it is leaking, you'll notice a lot of oil and grease around in this general area. Another thing you want to check for is your bearing. You know, if it's got play in it, you know. This one feels pretty good.
Alright, now that we got the brakes off and they're all good to go and we're putting them back on, we're going to take our anchor pins in the back. We're going to rub anti-seize on there. And these you can coat the whole thing. Now we got our pins, anchor pins, anti-seized. We're going to move on to our S-cam pins. Now you can get the sides here, but you don't want to get the face here because it will cause flat spots when the S-cam is rotating. Okay, now we got our front spring in place. Our S-cam rollers here in place. Take this, get this centered. Top one in place. S-cam's in place. And your shoes are on.
Alright, so we have our inside spring already done, and we're going to put our outside one in. Just put it in the bottom, grab it with a pair of vice grips, and push it on in there. Alright, so we're put our drum back on, now we got to adjust our brakes, so we're going to tighten it all the way up. Now that's tightened, we're going to back off 1/2 a turn.
My wrench will work.
Alright, so we got our brakes done, put our drum on, now it's just time to put the tires back on.
Now I got the tires back on, we're going to torque them down to...
Now that we got our jack stands removed and our wheels are on the ground, we're going to torque them to specification. This one is 450 to 500 foot-pounds.